Hello, American Patriots. Are you a supporter of the Second Amendment? Are you a responsible gun owner? If so, then you know the day will come that you're going to need a trusted and qualified gunsmith. When that day arrives, I want you to contact the man that I trust with my weapons, Mr. Delaney Jackson, owner of Jumpin, a gunsmith and appraisal. Besides being a professional gunsmith, Delaney is a true American patriot. And, a little trivia for you, he's also the manager and guitar player for country music legend Mr. Mark Chestnut. So when the time arrives, take your weapons to the man who treats my weapons like they're his own, my trusted friend, Mr. Delaney Jackson at Jumpin' Jack's Gunsmith and Appraisal. Contact information and website information is in the description of this video below. Thank you and God bless.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, American Patriots. Welcome to a special edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight, but you chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. There's a lot of things going on across this country right now, and I understand, and it's totally warranted for most of you, if not all of you, to be very, very upset. I get that. So am I. Just imagine for a moment, I'm not taking away any kind of politicalness or patriotism from anyone, but just imagine for a moment how those of us that served in the military or in law enforcement and served overseas fighting for the American flag, served combat tours, fighting for our freedoms, our democracy, our Constitution. Think about how we feel right now. There are veterans right now that are hurting really, really bad. And it's not just what's happening right at this moment, but it really, really started, if you want to dig into it, with the hasty withdrawal out of Afghanistan, where the Biden administration got more of our American soldiers killed in the process and left behind billions of dollars worth of equipment for the terrorists that we were fighting. That is a treasonous act, if you ask me, because that's aiding and abetting the enemy. But the government in general, the FBI, the Department of Justice, they obviously don't see it that way, or they would have done something about it, and they haven't. So we're going to talk about what's happening right now with the Trump situation in Mar-a-Lago and the FBI. Before we get into that, I would like to read to you real quick, if you haven't already seen it, a commercial that Congresswoman Liz Cheney is running at the moment for re-election. You know, she's the one that's been sitting on the January 6th committee bashing President Trump. This is what just took place recently, and it's airing, of all places, on Fox News. It is a commercial for her with her daddy, Dick Cheney, former Vice President of the United States. And let me read to you exactly what Dick Cheney says in this commercial, if you haven't seen it yet. In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who has been a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. Now let's stop for a second. Not sure why he's even talking about Donald Trump. It's supposed to be a re-election ad for his daughter, but he does. He goes on to say, Donald Trump tried to steal the election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. He lost his election, and he lost big. I know it, he knows it, and deep down, I think most Republicans know it. Lynn and I, his wife, are so proud of Liz for standing up for the truth, doing what is right, and honoring her oath to the Constitution, when so many in our party are too scared to do so. Liz is fearless. She never backs down from a fight, and there is nothing more important she will ever do than lead the effort to make sure Donald Trump is never again near the Oval Office. I proudly voted for my daughter, and I hope you will too. Now, shame on Fox News for accepting the money from their campaign to run this ad, but so be it. It's on Liz Cheney's website as well, and you can see the thing. It's in the link to the description of this video when it goes up as a video after the show's over with. Let's talk about Dick Cheney for just a moment, shall we? You know, I went into the United States Army in 1985. I retired in 2004. So there was a time, especially during Desert Storm, where Dick Cheney was our vice president. And I respected the man, as well as George Bush at the time. Had the opportunity to meet him quite some time ago. And he had sent me, and this has been hanging on my wall for a long, long time. He sent me this photograph of himself. And it says, to Staff Sergeant Douglas M. Ducote Sr., with appreciation for your service, Dick Cheney. It's been hanging on my wall for a long, long time. Dear Dick Cheney, you, sir, have become a disgrace to our nation, a disgrace to everything we stand for. Let me explain something to you. There's not a snowball's chance in hell that Liz, your daughter, would have been reelected, much less with this video out, and of all places, Fox News. It's not going to happen, sir. And as far as I'm concerned, you're a washed up, no good, un-American, non-patriot piece of crap. Moving on. Today, actually yesterday, I'm sorry. Finally, the Attorney General, Department of Justice, spoke up about the raid at Mar-a-Lago. And pay close attention to his words. Good afternoon. Since I became Attorney General, I made clear that the Department of Justice will speak through its court filings and its work. Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week. That search was on premises located in Florida belonging to the former president. The department did not make any public statements on the day of the search. The former president publicly confirmed the search that evening, as is his right. Copies of both the warrant and the FBI property receipt were provided on the day of the search to the former president's attorneys, who was on site during the search. Now, let me stop right there for a second. We've already seen the attorneys, if you watched Fox News last night. They were not allowed to talk to the agents. They were not allowed to be in the same room the agents were in. They were kept completely outside and have no idea what the hell took place inside there. And then they were handed the property documents, which we'll go over in a minute. The search warrant was authorized by a federal court upon required finding of probable cause. And we're going to talk here in a minute about that judge that authorized this warrant. The property receipt is a document that federal law requires law enforcement agents to leave with the property owner. The department filed the motion to make public the warrant and receipt in light of the former president's public confirmation of the search, the surrounding circumstances, and the substantial public interest in this matter. And here is probably the biggest lie I've ever heard anyone in government say. You ready for this? Faithful adherence to the rule of law is the bedrock principles of the Justice Department and our democracy. Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly without fear or favor. Under my watch, that is precisely what the Justice Department is doing. All Americans are entitled to the even-handed application of the law, to due process of the law, and to the presumption of innocence. Much of our work is necessary, conducted out of the public eye. Wow. I don't even think I need to break that statement down for you to realize that that's utterly bullshit. We've watched for the past 6+ years the FBI and the Department of Justice go after only Republicans up in Congress. And of course, President Trump. And they're going after anyone that supported President Trump, anyone that wore red MAGA hats, anyone that considers themselves an American patriot. And they're definitely going after veterans. And we'll talk about that here in a minute as well. But let's continue on with his pathetic press conference. Went on to say, we do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans, to protect the integrity of our investigations. Federal law, longstanding department rules, and our ethical obligations prevent me from providing further details as to the basis of the search at this time. You're so full of shit. I smell you from here. There are, however, certain points I want you to know. Oh, wait a minute. You just said you can't talk about it any further, right? So shut the fuck up and walk away from the podium. Oh, no. We can add a little. So let's do that. First, I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly. Wherever possible, it is standard practice to seek less intrusive means as an alternative to a search and to narrowly scope any search that is undertaken. Wow. Well, that's a lie, because we all know now that President Trump and his attorneys were in constant contact with the FBI with everything they were looking for. In fact, the last time they were at Mar-a-Lago, Trump came down and shook hands with them and met them, did a photo op, showed them exactly where the things were that were taken from the White House. They were his. Some of that was classified information, which we will talk about, that he declassified before he took it out. And he shared that with the FBI. And the agent said, look, until we get further through this, put them all in this room and put a padlock on that door, please. so that nobody disturbs them. And he did that. And they busted that door down. Let's continue on. Second, the department does not take such decisions lightly. Where possible, it is standard practice to seek less intrusive means. Well, you already proved that that's bullshit. You don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. Third, let me address recent unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and Justice Department agents and prosecutors. I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked. Now, you don't have a choice, because freedom of speech, we can say whatever the fuck we want to say about your FBI agents or your Department of Justice, or you for that matter, as long as we don't threaten them or you. Now, anyone who attempts to attack any federal agents or Department of Justice agents, or anybody for that matter, you should drop the hammer on their ass. Yes. But when it comes to freedom of speech, sir, you don't give a shit about the Constitution, so I wouldn't doubt it one bit if you would send somebody to, like the FBI, to do your dirty work, to arrest somebody for just saying something about you. Integrity. You don't even know what fucking integrity is. Goes on to say, the men and women of the FBI and the Justice Department are dedicated, patriotic public servants. Every day, they protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, and other threats to their safety, while safeguarding our civil rights. They do so at great personal sacrifice and risk to themselves. That being said, the majority of those that work for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, let me go on record to say, and I've said it many times before, are good, honest, decent human beings. It's their leadership that are a bunch of incompetent, Nazi-like fools. They're doing stupid shit, not only to Donald Trump, but to Republicans and American patriots. They've even attacked one of my personal friends, which I'm not going to go into this tonight. But if you go back and look at some of my videos, you'll find it. It's there. I've talked about it. They were wrong, but yet they never came back and admitted it. Nor would they in this. I'm honored to work alongside them. This is all I can say now. More information will be available in the appropriate way and the appropriate time. Thank you. And then he walked the fuck away from the podium. He did not take any questions. Of course not. Because they were ready to slaughter him with questions. Let's talk real quick about the property receipt. The property receipt of items recovered by the FBI agents who searched former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort showed that agents recovered a trove of top secret and other heavily classified documents. Federal agents removed 11 sets of classified documents, including some that were labeled top secret, according to documents obtained by NBC News. Among the items the FBI took was a handwritten note, information about the president of France, an executive grant of clemency for Trump's ally, Roger Stone, and binders and photos. NBC News and other news organizations obtained the documents shortly before a federal judge was expected to authorize their public release. Trump had said in a statement overnight on his social media platform that he did not oppose their disclosure to the public. The Department of Justice asked him, and he said, let it rip. Not only will I not oppose the release of the documents related to the un-American, unwarranted, and unnecessary raid and breaking of my home in Palm Beach, Florida, Mar-a-Lago, I'm going a step further by encouraging the immediate release of those documents, even though they have been drawn up by radical left Democrats and possible future political opponents who have a strong and powerful vested interest in attacking me much as they have done for the past 6 years, Trump said. He went on to say, release the documents now. In a statement today, Trump spokesperson Taylor Budrich was dismissive of details in the documents from what he called the outrageous search and blotch raid where they seized the president's picture books, a handwritten note, and declassified documents. Documents accompanied the search warrant showed that investigators were hunting for illegal possessed items, including any physical document with classification markings and any government and/or presidential records from Trump's time in office, in addition to any evidence of the knowing alterations, destruction, or concealment of any government and/or presidential records, or of any documents with any classified markings. In a statement, Trump said everything he had was all declassified from him while he was president, and that is the president's right. Trump and his lawyers have had the search warrant and documents since Monday, but recent calls to make them public, and now they finally are. Attorney General Merrick Garland filed a motion Thursday to get a judge's approval to release the warrant and property receipt, arguing that it was the public's interest to see the records after Trump revealed the search had taken place on Monday. Trump received a federal grand jury subpoena this past spring for sensitive documents the government believed he retained after his departure from the White House. A source familiar with the matter confirmed to NBC News on Thursday. The source, who spoke on conditions of anonymity, said that the subpoena was related to documents that Trump's legal team discussed with Justice Department officials at a previous reported meeting that was held back on June 3rd. A separate source confirmed an earlier Wall Street Journal report telling NBC News that someone familiar with documents inside Mar-a-Lago told investigators there may have been more classified documents at the club than were initially turned over, leading in part to the search on Monday. Yes, sir. Let's look at some other things that are happening with these wannabe patriots, I guess would be a good way of putting it. When I can get things to pop up that are the correct thing to pop up, stand by. Okay, let's talk about real quick because I want to get this out of the way. It's very important that I share with you what recently happened. Some of you probably already heard it. It's been breaking news all over the place. And that is that a person with weapons tried to get into an FBI office and I guess kill FBI agents. I don't know what his original plan was. The gunman tried to breach the FBI's Cincinnati office and engage officers in a standoff that lasted hours before his death. He had served on a nuclear submarine in the Navy and later in the National Guard. His name was Ricky Walter Shifter Jr. He was 42 years old. He was accused of trying to break into the FBI field office in Cincinnati, Ohio on Thursday morning while armed, according to statements from the FBI and Ohio State Highway Patrol. Accounts appear to belong to Schiffer, posted numerous violent messages in recent weeks, escalating after former President Donald Trump's home was searched by the FBI on Monday. Multiple reports citing unnamed law enforcement officials say he had a nail gun and also had an AR-15 style rifle. He ultimately died after a shootout with police on a rural stretch of road. The Navy confirmed that he did serve with them from 1998 to 2003. After enlisting in Pennsylvania, he became a fire control technician and served a single tour aboard the submarine USS Columbia out of Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Navy records show he earned no awards or decorations and separated in June of 2003 at the rank of E5. Submarine service is generally more secretive and restricted than serving on a surface ship, owing to the covert nature of submarine missions and the weapons and equipment that they carry. As a fire control technician, he would have been responsible for maintenance and operation of the gear used for target and fire the Columbia's weapons. After leaving the Navy, he served 3 years in the Florida National Guard as an infantryman. During his time in the Guard, he deployed once to Iraq before being honorably discharged in 2011. He was an E4 at the time, according to records from the National Guard. He made posts on Twitter and on TruthSocial, all of which have been removed since the shooting, showed that he frequently engaged with right-wing conspiracies and suggested a need for violence. Experts have been warning that following Monday's FBI raid, active calls for violence have skyrocketed on far-right social media spaces, according to data gathered by extremist researcher Chris Goldsman. Schiffer's tweets included a reply to Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, posted in May, that alleged they got away with fixing elections in plain sight. The next step is the one we used in 1775. In another tweet exchange in May, Schiffer said people should save ammunition, get in touch with the Proud Boys, and learn how they did it in the Revolutionary War. Goldsmith, who runs Sparvas, a firm that analyzes domestic extremist data, found that Schiffer replied to other notable icons on the far right, like the same DeSeuss, Donald Trump Jr., and Sean Hannity. On TruthSocial, a social media platform founded by former President Donald Trump, his rhetoric was far more violent. According to reporting from the Washington Post, shortly after the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago, he wrote, "Be ready to kill the enemy. Kill the FBI on site and be ready to take down other active enemies." On August 8th, the day of the search, Schiffer wrote, "People, this is it. This is your call to arms from me. Leave work tomorrow as soon as the gun shop opens. Get whatever you need and be ready for combat. We must not tolerate this one," the Post reported. When Schiffer was unsuccessful in breaking into the FBI office just days after his post on TruthSocial, he allegedly fled the scene in a Ford Crown Victoria, and Highway Patrol officers found him driving on Interstate 71. After officers followed him on the highway for about 20 minutes, he pulled off, got out of his car on a rural road, and he and Highway Patrol officers exchanged a gunfire, according to the Highway Patrol statement. Schiffer and officers then engaged in an hours-long standoff. After what the Highway Patrol described as failed negotiations, officers tried to use less lethal tactics to get him into custody. But when Schiffer raised a firearm, officers fired at him. He died of his wounds at the scene, the Highway Patrol said. Now, if I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 freaking times. Conservatives, Republicans, we are not the party that supports violence. That's Democrats. That's liberals. That's Antifa. That's Black Lives Matter. They're the ones that are out there burning police cars, burning police stations, setting mom and pop businesses on fire, larger businesses on fire like Targets and Walmarts, and looting and throwing rocks and horrible things at police officers and hurting and killing police officers. That's not Republicans and conservatives. You've seen it all on your TV many, many times. Live reporting from places like Ferguson, Missouri. And even Washington, D.C. on the night that Trump was elected. It's absolutely astounding to me that the left and the Democrats continue to get a pass. So what this guy did, well, he met his maker. And that's between him and his maker. But no one, let me repeat, no one, patriot or non-patriot, Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative, I don't give a shit. No one should be advocating for violence against any member of law enforcement. Period. If you don't like what they're doing, there are ways to channel that anger legally. Do it that way. And do it at the voting polls, voting booths. I've said it once, I'll say it again. If we overwhelm them on voting day at midterms and more Republicans show up than Democrats, maybe, just maybe, we can make changes. But violence is not the answer. Now, continuing on, let's talk about some of the things that is currently happening that is stunning, that our government is doing. Our own government. That I just can't seem to wrap my freaking head around. The Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, you know who they are, right? If you're an American patriot, you do, because you pay your taxes for all these deadbeat liberals and other freaky people to sit on their ass and not do shit. The Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, the people responsible for taxes, is hiring special agents that will be required to carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force during possible dangerous assignments. According to a job posting on the IRS website, the special agents will be part of IRS Criminal Investigation Division, described as the service's law enforcement branch, which is designed to combine accounting skills with law enforcement skills to investigate financial crimes. The position's major duties include maintain honesty and integrity. That's going to be difficult to do because you're working for the fucking government. Work at least 50 hours each week, including irregular hours. Be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends. Maintain physical readiness to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job. Carry a gun and be willing to use deadly force if necessary. Participate in arrest, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. That's a job posting at the IRS, Internal Revenue Service. The IRS is offering a salary of $50,704 up to $89,636 per year for the position. The job advertisement has been posted since February, but it's gaining renewed attention in the wake of the Democrats' latest bill, which is being signed by the president probably tonight, which includes $80 billion in funding for the IRS. The massive funding boost will allow the IRS to hire 87,000 new employees to be law enforcement officers. I don't know what they're going to do. Shit. You cheat on your taxes, they're going to come beat your door down and arrest you. If you don't follow on time, I guess they're going to come beat your door down and arrest you. You make a mistake, I don't know, they're going to beat your door down and arrest you. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Or who are they going to go after? 87,000 special agents? It kind of reminds me of something I reported on last year, and that was that the Biden administration, one of the first things they talked about was how they're going to make it to where anyone that deposits $400 or more, it must be reported by the banking system. Well, that means they're going after you and me. Fuck. That's minimum wage is more than that. So that affects everyone. If you think 87,000 agents are being hired to go after the wealthy people that are putting their money in foreign banks and that are millionaires and billionaires, well, you're freaking living under a rock, because that ain't what it's for, my friends. It's for you and me. There's no other explanation for this. Let's continue on. This will double the service's current size and making it larger, you ready for this, than the Pentagon, the State Department, the FBI, and Border Patrol combined. It will be the biggest law enforcement arm in America, the fucking IRS. Couldn't make this shit up if you tried. The Biden administration claimed on Tuesday that no one making under $400,000 per year will face any new audits as a result of this new bill. Notably, an amendment to the bill that would have forced the IRS to follow that standard limiting new audits to those making $400,000 or more per year fell 50-50 in the Senate. Every Democrat voted against the proposal, whereas every Republican voted in favor of protecting low and middle income earning taxpayers from an onslaught of audits from an army of new Internal Revenue Service auditors funded by an unprecedented nearly $80 billion infused of new funds, according to IRS data. More than half of the audits performed in 2021 targeted taxpayers making less than $75,000 per year. They don't go after the millionaires, my friends. Joe Biden can speak that and say that forever. I don't give a shit. You know it. I know it. I'm not going to say he knows it because he's not all there. Mentally, he's not. And that's sad. Additionally, over 40% of audits were aimed at taxpayers who received the Earned Income Credit, which is a measure to help those in reduced poverty. Senator John Brasso, Republican, Wyoming, said the funding will put the IRS on steroids. You don't need that many IRS agents to go after a few people they say are very, very rich, Brasso said, adding families, farmers, and the small businesses of America. That's who's going to bear the burden of this legislation. The Washington Post reported that experts believe lower income earners are more often targeted by IRS audits because they don't have the means to push back, unlike wealthy people who can hire accountants and lawyers to fight IRS enforcement. The IRS. Sound pretty crazy? Are you thinking to yourself, how the hell is this happening? Let's see if I can get this next thing to pop up here. Doesn't appear to want to. Don't understand it. Give me a minute, please. What I'm attempting to do, instead of reading off of sheets of paper that I print from the stories, is read it directly from my computer, but it's not bringing up the correct stories that I would like to talk about. Oh, here's one that we would like to talk about tonight. and that is the judge that signed the search warrant that allowed the FBI to raid President Trump's home. Previously quit his job as a U.S. attorney to represent accused accomplices of convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, a new report revealed on Tuesday. Judge Bruce Reinhart signed off on the warrant that allowed FBI agents to raid Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in West Palm Beach, Florida, on Monday, according to the New York Post. His name appears on the docket of a sealed warrant that was reportedly associated with the FBI's raid on Mar-a-Lago. According to the Miami Herald, as federal prosecutors in the Southern District of Florida were negotiating a plea deal with Epstein, Reinhart had resigned from his post as a federal prosecutor effective on January 1st of 2008, just days after quitting. Multiple accused accomplices of Epstein hired Reinhart as their legal representative. The accomplices later received federal immunity for allegedly engaging in sex trafficking of female children. In 2011, lawyers for Epstein's victims questioned Reinhart over his knowledge of the Epstein case prior to retiring, but Reinhart insisted he was not involved in the investigation. 2 years later, the U.S. Attorney's Office that formerly employed Reinhart filed a court document contradicting his claims, which said that while Bruce E. Reinhart was an assistant U.S. attorney, he learned confidentially non-public information about the Epstein matter. Reinhart inserted in an email to the Herald in 2019 that he didn't do anything wrong because he didn't represent Epstein. Correct. He just represented those that were accused of having sex with children. Even assuming I have participated personally and substantially in the Epstein investigation, which I did not, the relative Department of Justice regulations only prohibit me from communicating with or appearing before the United States on behalf of Mr. Epstein, he said. Reinhart declared to say if he was paid by Epstein for representing his accused accomplices, among those who Reinhart represented were Epstein's assistant, Sarah Kellen, who called Sarah Vickers, who allegedly scheduled visits between Epstein and underage girls 3 to 4 times a day, according to authorities. U.S. District Court of the Southern District of Florida appointed Reinhart as the United States Magistrate Judge back in March of 2018. According to a press release announced his appointment, the selection panel reviewed 64 submissions and interviewed 15 candidates and 5 finalists for the position. Reinhart also successfully passed an FBI and IRS background investigation to earn the appointment. After the raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago home on Monday this week, civil war began trending on Twitter. By about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, approximately 3 hours after Trump announced the FBI raid on his social media platform, TruthSocial Civil War had been tweeted more than 35,000 times and started trending in political features and political categories. He also was a huge contributor to the DNC. He also has made social media posts, which I don't have them in front of me right now, so I can't read them to you, but I will get that and I will get back to you on this subject about him, because I'm sure there's many things to talk about him in the coming future. But he tweeted negative things about Trump before he was a judge. So, of course, he signed off on this search warrant. Now, what else is the government doing to us, we the people? The CEO of an online ammo retailer said last week that thousands of rounds of ammunition have gone missing during transit, particularly when shipped through the United States Postal Service. CEO Patrick Collins of ammunition retailer The Gun Food said of 18,000 rounds of ammo that has been shipped from his company via UPS, just 1/3 made it to their final destination. It is unclear where the remaining 12,000 rounds are, and that's just one company. During an appearance on the Glenn Beck program, Collins said UPS blames the gun foods packaging for the missing ammo, despite the company having met and exceeded packing expectations. I have pictures of how the packages are packed and within the package, he explained, and I have all of that information. In fact, we changed our protocol here in the gun food to have our drivers, when they drop off the package at the center, they have to actually take a picture of it on the conveyor belt when UPS takes possession of our packages. The Glenn Beck program contacted UPS in an effort to determine why ammo was going missing during delivery. The shipping company's email statement suggested that improper packing could cause delivery issues. Regarding your question about shipping ammunition as a common carrier, UPS transport ammunition that constitutes cartridges and small arms as defined in federal regulations. UPS has safety protocols to help ensure the safe transport of ammunition in our network. UPS wrote, according to Glenn Beck, we work with our customers to address their concerns, including those with packaging. You can find out more about how to ship your ammunition at ups.com. Collins said the gun food has worked with UPS for about 3 years now, and added that other companies are also having the exact same issue with delivery of missing ammunition. I know quite a few other folks that have had well over $300,000 worth of ammunition gone missing. And it's really changed the way we have to do our business now, he said. To UPS, it's just a write-off. However, it's become very expensive write-off. I would like to thank you for bringing up a lot of attention to this because it's really a big deal, Collins said to Glenn. It impacts people on multiple levels more than your average citizen would think. Imagine if the police department doesn't receive the ammunition that they need to serve their civil duties. Beck suggested theft could be behind the missing ammo shipments. Collins added that ammunition boxes are easy to identify due to required markings on the box. We tried to hide them in ways so that it's not obvious. However, a lot of times people know what they're grabbing once they grab the box, or perhaps even shake it, Collins said. Democrats in the Biden administration have ramped up calls for more gun and ammo control in recent months. And last month, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to pass a sweeping assault weapons ban. Now, let's talk about missing ammo. Last year, I ordered 5,000 rounds of AK-47 ammunition for my AK-47. Why do I need 5,000 rounds? Because I love to shoot the gun. And I go to a gun range here locally, and I like to shoot. I like to target practice. And you know what didn't arrive at my house? That ammo. Don't know where it went. Thankfully, the company I ordered it from, after searching with the delivery company and realizing it never came to me, sent me new ammo that did arrive. With the original package, no idea where it went. So I completely understand. Somehow, through the postal system, ammunition is not getting to the Patriots that are buying it. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon right now and say that it's a government program to intercept it, but I don't know. More to come on where the missing ammo is. On a side note, when I did get the new ammo, I had it sitting next to my desk on the floor. And then about 3 days later, we had the massive flood here and it all went underwater. And it was, that being said, we were able to take all that and put it into boxes of rice, containers of rice, and save most of it. But what a mess to have to deal with. Let's see if I can get this to come up. Nope, that won't come up either. How about this one? I swear I don't understand why. Bear with me a second, please. This is absolutely insanity. I'm trying to open stuff that I've got labeled properly to do this show tonight, and it's coming up as something completely and totally different. Anyhow, I'm not going to fuck with it anymore. I go back to printing it off and reading it from sheets of paper like I've done in the past, because it's sure, I'm not technically good with computers, okay? And when this show was running at its smoothest and its best, it was back when I had a producer. I don't have that anymore. We had to part ways. But when it comes to doing this crap, it's been one hell of a learning curve for me. And I'm trying my best to make it operate. And for whatever reason, that's not happening. Let me try and get rid of some of these and see if we can bring it up that way. I swear. Talked about the judge. I just want this to freaking come up. Why won't that come up? I swear. It's crazy. We talked about the IRS cops. We don't need that. We talked about the idiot that tried to break into the IRS. Don't need that. Delete that. Okay, I've deleted all that, so it's got to come up. I fucking swear. It's not. All right, I'm done with it. It was a good attempt. There's several other stories that I will have to talk about next week on Tuesday, I guess, because I can't get them to come up with my computer. It's coming up. They're popping up the exact same way that I put them in here, but they're not. It's coming up as a complete and totally different article. So who knows? I don't have time to keep fucking with it. Anyhow, the whole point of this special program tonight was just to make you aware of what is taking place across our nation right now. And briefly, because I know what I read and know what I wanted to print out, what I put on here, I will tell you about what these other two stories were about. Without reading it directly, I do have the links to it. Hopefully they will come up for you in the description of this video when it goes up. But one of them is about companies that make holsters for your guns, and how the government has ordered them to hand over the information on who is buying holsters. And these companies are going, wait a minute, no, we don't want to do that. That is breaking their privacy. All right. And why do you want that information? Government doesn't give a shit. They want to know who all is buying holsters. The other story was about medical marijuana and guns. There is a new push by Democrats up in Washington, D.C. to take away guns from anyone that gets medical marijuana prescribed by a doctor in a state that has authorized medical marijuana. Now, why are they doing this? Let's go back to veterans. When medical marijuana started getting introduced, and if you look at it across the globe or across America, there are a lot of veterans that have been prescribed medical marijuana for things like post-traumatic stress disorder, for pain, for different ailments. There's a whole bunch of different types of things that can the stuff is prescribed for. Cancer, lung issues. Not, you don't smoke the stuff. It's liquid. in most cases. Some of it does have smoking pot that you can do. But regardless, the point is the federal government has still not declassified pot as something that is legal. But they let states do that. And they don't go in and enforce federal laws in the states that authorize marijuana. Some authorize it, don't care if it's medical or not. California, you can go smoke dope. You don't have to have a medical card. Oregon, Washington State, there's all kinds of places, Colorado, where they just legalized it. And they're not going after them. Nope. They're going after those that got medical marijuana prescribed by a doctor. And they want to know everybody that has fallen into that category. And they want to take away their rights to own a firearm. I promise you, I will get this story printed out so I may read it to you next week. But it's all over the internet. I'm sure you can find it. Just Google medical marijuana and guns, and I'm sure that'll bring it up for you. I found the article at militarynews.com, and so you can go there and read it for yourself. But it's some pretty scary shit. Again, in the government's mind, veterans, we're the ones that are highly trained in how to use weapons and how to use tactics and how to fight combat. And that's who they're afraid of. This isn't anything new. I've been talking about this for a long time, how the government wants to take away the rights of veterans to own guns. And now they're going to try and do it federally, because federally pot is not legalized. Yeah, that's the United States government. So the whole point of tonight's show is to let you know that patriots, anyone that claims to be a patriot, is under attack in this country by our own damn government. Which is why it is so very important. It's dire, my friends, that we win at midterms so we can get rid of all this shit that they're doing. And they're not going to stop it, just what we talked about tonight. If we do not win back the House and Senate at midterms, I have no idea what's going to happen to this country, but I can tell you this much. I already don't recognize it, and neither do most veterans. And the American people in general are going to realize it if they haven't already, and most of you do. You know, there are some of you that have never served in the military or never served in law enforcement for whatever reasons, and that's your reasons. And you know, I don't push that on anyone to do. You're just as much of an American patriot as I am, or anybody else that served. I only mentioned it earlier because it's like a dagger going in our heart when we see people violating the Constitution that we served for. It's very, very difficult to grasp that happening right in front of our face. And the last thing I want to talk about and leave with you is while I wasn't able to do the show yesterday, I had to run down to Baton Rouge, which is, if there's no problems with traffic weather, it's a 3-hour drive to my folks' house. And I had to take my mother to doctor's appointments that ended up taking longer than I thought they would. And by the time I hit the road to head back, there was no way in hell I was going to get back in time last night to do the show. So I decided I'd do tonight's show, special report on some of the things that are happening, because the way I view it, my personal opinion, is what I see taking place right now is an attack against American patriots by our own government. And I haven't even begun to scratch the surface on the things that are coming out right now that aren't getting much news coverage, but they're there, my friends. And I promise you, I, for one, will expose it. When even Republican members in Congress are too chicken shit to tell you the truth about what's happening right under your nose that you're not aware of. And I will continue to do so. I will continue to report on it and let you know. Anyhow, my mom's doing great, by the way. Thank you for everybody that prayed for my mother and, of course, my father last year for all the things he went through. Both of them are doing really, really well. I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. And they read your comments. I've seen them do it. I've heard them talk about it. Both my mom and dad have talked about some of the things that some of y'all have written in the comment section when they go and look at the videos. And that's very touching. So thank you for everybody that's mentioned anything about my parents and praying for them. Very much appreciated. They're great, great people. And I do plan in the near future, sooner than later, I hope, to sit down with both my parents and do like a video of their life, interview them basically about what life was like growing up. Dad was born in 1938. He served in the Army National Guard, and also in the Air National Guard, just like I did. He served in Vietnam. He also served in Korea in the Korean War. So I want to interview him about what life was like back then in the service and in combat for several reasons. One, because in my mind, my dad is a great American patriot that served his country with honor. And I want to be able to share that with you, my viewers. But also, I want it to be something that's lasting forever for my children and my grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren to be able to always be able to look at and see this. Those that come along after my parents are long gone will be, and I recommend this to anyone, not just me for the situation with my parents, but anyone out there. Think about it. If you have the time and you have a good relationship with your family, take the time to video record them talking about what it was like growing up in their life. So I plan to do that, and I hope you will too with your family, because it's something that it will be absolutely priceless when the day comes they're no longer with us. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and come back often, because you will find out that you've been unsubscribed by YouTube because they claim that you're a fake account. They unsubscribe about 1,000 people every 28 days from this channel. It's fake accounts, to include my wife, my children, my mom and dad. Fake accounts. No. It's because I'm a conservative and I tell the truth. Also, go to DouglasDucote.com. Check out our website. Also, check out the Patriot shop there. There's some really cool gear there that you can get for family or for upcoming holidays. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our Angel families, our Blue and Gold Star families, and our country. And if you do not know what Angel families are, or Blue and Gold Star families, please look that up. I beg you. They need our support, because this current government, this current administration is pissing on the graves of their loved ones. And that's not good. Thank you. God bless you all. Have a wonderful Friday night. Have a great weekend. Be safe, whatever you're doing. And I'll see you back next week, next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time. Thank you, everyone, and have a blessed evening.